Okay, this video shows how to assemble the rover neck that was present in the November demo. This design has lots of room for improvement, but just a snapshot of what we have today. I'm gonna start with the Dynamixel servo for Z-axis. We need the bracket that came with Dynamixel installed on board to support it on both sides. We need to put the nuts on several positions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These four we're going to assemble onto the main body here. Now, some of the sub-assemblies already assembled here because this was previously assembled in a mad rush to meet a deadline. And this is just a partial reassembly video. It's also a chance for me to check to make sure everything is still tight and has not fallen loose. And now the back side, the other 8 nuts go with this bracket. It goes this way. This is where we will be attaching the rest of the neck. One, two, three, four. This handles the head, left, right. Now we're gonna prep the y-axis, which will handle the head tilt left, right. At this bracket, I did not disassemble this one completely, but 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts. There's a 5th one here and a 6th one here to hold the servo with this bracket. This bracket has 4 of the lock nuts. That's part of the Rover package. Servo is held onto the bracket with 4 of the screws that came with the Dynamixels. We have a 623 bearing here, heat set insert here. That assembly fits onto here. Now we put 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are from the JPL Rover parts list leftovers. Yeah, there's 3 categories of fasteners used in this one. The one I'm putting in right now are leftover from the Rover build. These are Imperial fasteners. The tiny little screws here came in the box with the Dynamixel servos, and the only time there's anything else is the metric M3, and I only use those when there's nothing in the existing Rover parts list that can fit. In this case, the 623 bearings. Had to use the 3mm screws. Next thing to put on is the servo that tilts the head front back nodding, and this takes some dexterity. rest of the ball joint. I'll go in. And one of the M3 nuts, screws, bolts. Okay, alignment for this next operation is a bit tricky because it has to fit around the servo and the ball joint and the other end of the pivot point. A word on the this bracket here, the head tilt bracket. Lots of positions for heat set inserts. We actually only need 1, 2, 3, 4. The other 4 were used for other experiments, and that ended up being part of the November demo. We just need these 4. Okay. On one side with the bearing, another M3. And for the servo, more of the little screws that came with the Dynamixel. That is mechanical assembly of the head mechanism. Here is the tilting up and down. Here is the puppy dog left and right. And here is the shaking head yes, no. In parallel with this happening, we could be doing the display. Before we do that, that's mechanical assembly. Electrically, it's relatively simple. The servos each come with a wire and they are daisy chained from one to the next. And then this remaining connector will be the cable that goes down through the neck to the U2D2 controller module. Okay, mechanical set, we'll put that aside. In parallel with that, we could be doing the screen display. So there's LCD and there's 2 of the backing plates. We have power for the Arduino and data for the Arduino. It's going to come in a minute. We will need these 2 bridge elements. So the ribs go in the inside, not the outside, because this side we need room for the Arduino connector. So these again are fasteners from the Rover parts list. The 2 fasteners used on the right side of the head is actually shorter than those used on the left side. The left side is longer because not only is it bolting down the bridge, it is also bolting down the Arduino at the same time. So that's where it's going to be. But before we get that there, we will install the Arduino. Here's the Arduino bracket. It fits like this. These are the same fasteners used for the Arduino in the default Rover build. We're just now putting them into a 3D printed bracket instead of the laser cut. So the bracket only has room for dispo on this side, not on this side because it got too crowded in there. There's not room for the bracket. So on this side, only the top two get fasteners. These screws tap directly into plastic because I don't think strength matters for this particular application. Fasteners on this side are longer to accommodate for the Arduino bracket. For a functional bracket, this is enough for the LED. Beyond this, it's for our cosmetic outer shell, which may or may not have taken place for print time. First, the back panel, connect the two sides with a bolt and lock nut from the Rover parts leftover bag box. It'll be easier to put in the most finicky piece. This is Henry's lower chin. Okay. Now, the two pieces can be mated together. Here are the four that I said we're actually going to use. They go to the four holes on the bridge. And here it is, rover head. From here on, we can slide on the cosmetic pieces. Yeah. We have a rover head. And one thing I forgot to do is to hook up the Arduino wire. That is accessible from here. That needs to be plugged into the rover. And then so does the next servo. Those are the two wiring harnesses that need to be plugged in when this is installed on the rover. Okay, but for now, that is a walkthrough of the head as of November 2019. Future iterations to come.